Hey y'all, Scott here from Art of the Genre, and today is Fantasy Friday, and we're going to take a look at part 2 of B3, Palace of the Silver Princess. Last week we took a look at the Choose Your Own Adventure gatehouse kind of setup for this and the basic setup for the module itself. And how that kind of played out and some of my suggestions there. Today we're going to look at the next part of it, which is going to be the dungeon level. I think in there it's considered part 3. But nevertheless, it's the under layer of the dungeon before you go up into the top layer. So you're going to have some caves in there. And you're going to have a lot of standard stuff that you're going to find in campaigning within a keep, especially an abandoned keep or a keep that's locked in time like this one. There are going to be libraries and fitting rooms and studies and all those kind of pantries and kitchens and stuff like that that the characters will slowly work through. The map is kind of odd, so there's no real flow to it. So you have to kind of take that into account when you are the DM and kind of understand where the players need to go if they're going to find specific items within this module that will help them free Argenta from the Eye of Arek, which she's trapped in the throne room. But there are like 5 of those options within here, so even if the characters go completely off course, you're probably going to run into one. Nevertheless, you're going to find in here your standard usual suspects: kobolds, goblins, hobgoblins, some zombies, basic fare for first level characters, and you're going to be able to get into it with them and just kind of, room to room, go about exploring. There are a couple rooms in here, though, that I'm going to call out specifically. I'm going to take a look at them here just for my notes so we know what we've got. Room 15, that is the Mosaic Room. This one has an interaction with an illusionary foe that can kind of waylay the entire party. And then once the illusion breaks, the people who are dead will wake up and everything will be reset. No one will be hurt. And there's this sword that's there that is some kind of unique blade is what it's described at. It won't fit in any non-customized sheath. So it's a really cool item to have in there. It's a sword +1. You can do anything you want to with it and have it customizable for specific characters, or it's a great piece for the DM to lay in alternate powers for this weapon. Maybe it's a sword +1 but +3 against something else. Maybe it's an intelligent blade that has powers that come out as the character grows in level, which I've done before, which is kind of great, a sword that grows with you. Nevertheless, it's a cool blade, and you get it after defeating, I guess, this illusion. The only bad part about that is I know a lot of people have, home rules and stuff like that, where you might have God calls or the ability for characters to come back from the dead, but they could also be smited. I mean, that's something I do use in my campaigns. Or you could be doing death saves if you've got it converted to 5e or something like that. If the characters are dead and then they actually kill themselves trying to do these alternate routes, and it's an illusion where they're just going to wake up at the end, that's going to throw the campaign a little bit. A, if they kill themselves, or B, if you have to tell them, no, I'm not going to allow you those death saves or whatever right now, or God calls or whatever it is. So you've got to keep that in track when you're in that room, room 15. Room 14, as well as the pink pedestal room, and it's got a pendant on it. There's a great piece of art for it. Take a look at it here. Anyway, this pedestal and the piece that's on it, the necklace, will basically cause the character to kind of become a berserker. They charge into rooms and battles that they shouldn't have, caring not about their own safety and stuff like that. It's a cursed piece and you can't get rid of it unless it says the DM wants to find some way to get rid of it. It's a neat wrinkle in the campaign. It's something to look at, and it could also be fun to have one of your characters just kind of have a berserker rage. But it doesn't give them that rage ability. It just makes them put themselves in harm's way. So keep that in mind. That's in there too. But the real dangers within this level, there's an 18 hit point white ape that will pummel a first level party. So keep that in mind. There's also a sunken bath that has some sturges in it. I know sometimes those get people problems. I know when I played this, one of the funniest things that had happened to me was a ranger saw these birds flittering around and told everybody, stay back, I've got this, and went in and went, coo, coo, and then there's like 5 of them went into him, just wiped him out. So I always love sturges, but that's one of my funniest dealing with sturges. They're nasty little creatures, and that could give people problems too. But those are really the basic. I think there's a green slime in there as well that you can find in the caverns, and the white ape is in a cavern as well. But nevertheless, those are the kind of the dangers on that initial level. And then you go to dungeon level 2, which I think is part 4. And then you get into some of the other specifics of it. There is a room which has the ice harp in it. That's the harp of Rowena, who is a bard or a minstrel that lives most of her life in fairy. The Fey realms, and this harp is one of the things that can also break the spell of the gem of Arik. So you can find her, and she will tell them exactly what to do. Play these 3 notes, and it'll break the gem, and you're good. So it's a very easy fix for the campaign if they know how to do that. You could get a little more wordy with what she gives you, or mystical about it. She won't go with you because she has to go back to fairy, or she ages very quickly. But nevertheless, the other side of that is it's a really neat item, this ice harp, that you could give extra powers to, especially if you're playing in, let's say, a newer edition that you could start out as a first level bard. Or if you're playing AD&D, it could give a character, a fighter, or a thief, the ability to go, maybe I want to go that track if you have the ability scores to do it, which are almost impossible. But if you fudge those and just allow the person to do it, you could have them go into the bard track too. So that's kind of cool, and it's a neat item to have. It's like a small harp, so they could just play it off of like that. And then last but not least, you've got Travis. There's a great picture in here. I'll let you take a look at it. Now, this piece was always really, really cool to me, this scrawl of, beware of Travis. Travis is a mad guard who has kind of, thrown in with everybody that's evil here on this level. And you go into the barracks, and he comes in and attacks you with a +1 dagger, I think. And it's not very climactic, because he just kind of wanders in on you and attacks. When I use the module, I like to make Travis more horror driven, and he's in charge of the orcs on this level, so he could try to whittle down the character's hit points before then he attacks. He may be mad, but that doesn't mean that he's stupid. So I always like to use him in a much higher caliber as an NPC or an enemy. I think it gives a lot more aspects to that level of the dungeon, and allows you to build kind of an onus of who is this Travis, why should we be aware of him, and when is he actually going to attack us. One of the things I like to do in the module too, because you're in this enclosed space with these long halls, you could have somebody saying, Travis. just keep the characters on their toes, or get a little worked up about it, those type of things, until they really, really have to feel like they have to deal with this person. Anyway, that's that level, and then you go further up. And this is, when you go further up again, you get into the more stately aspects of the castle itself. And some of my favorite things, the first one being room 55, the study. And this is the piece of art that you find depicting the study. Take a look. That, of course, is Duchess and Candela, 2 of my favorite NPCs of all time. If you think I am lying to you about my love for Duchess and Candela, just take a look at all of these images I've had done. Yes, I might be the biggest fan of Duchess and Candela ever. And they have been in a couple of my big supplements, the Storyteller's Arcana hardcover, and they are featured in every one of my folio black labels as the two main characters that go through and have their shenanigans there because I've loved them so much in this edition. They're done by Jim Rosloff here, but they're just fantastic. I love them, and they can join the party and have an interesting wrinkle. I've always had them join my party for different aspects. Kind of fun to have them around. Sometimes I have them do kind of a 1980s-esque dirty pair where they blow stuff up, or sometimes I have them be the thieves that will kind of charm the characters, and then at the end of the campaign they try to get away with the goods. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and then you can meet them later, or you can just have them get along with the characters and actually maybe join up to make an extended campaign with them. Right after that is room 56, which is the Wizard Doppelganger. This is also a fun aspect. If you're going to use Candela and Duchess in a good way, the Doppelganger is a good foil because he will try to help the characters while also replacing them. A Doppelganger is a very tough out, let's say, for low-level characters, but nonetheless, he's in there and he's great to use. Lots of fun to kind of have somebody jump them in a bad aspect. I usually try to save him to the throne room when the characters are getting ready to do actually manifest the destruction of the Eye of Arik. He tries to thwart that because there's really no other nothing else there to stop them from doing so. And there's a palace garden that has a lot of cool things, vampire roses and other things that were introduced in this module, plant type attacks. That's a fun thing to do. They can go through this entire area. I've used it a lot with fire. A lot of people want to throw fire in there. And I've had goblins infest the interior and come out of the thorns and kill people. When you set fire to the inner keep, it's tough. It can burn off the roofs, and I have roofs falling in on people. And you kind of have to race the fire to the throne room. So there's all kinds of really fun aspects you can use in the garden or how that garden works out. And last but not least is room 65, which is the Decapus. And that is pictured by Errol Otis. Here, take a look. That, of course, is on the cover of the module. I did one myself. I had one commissioned myself because I love this creature. Take a look. But it's just overall fun, like this ball with tentacles and this huge exaggerated mouth. So that's one of the more fun things to use within this module. That's room 68. And then finally, you have the summoning room, which has, I'm going to get this right, Cartha Randomus, who is the cleric of Arik, and he is trying to summon him. And here he's got the ruby sword of Arik, which he's going to use to summon Arik. You can take that sword and also use it to destroy. That's one of the three or four ways to destroy the Eye of Arik. And he is this is the boss battle. When you fight him, he has 7 big orcs, which are going to have more hit points, and a female werewolf. And the werewolf will shred a party unless they have silver weapons or unless they've got a couple of the magic weapons that they found during the adventure. And they're few and far between, so you've got to make sure you understand what's going on there. This is actually the epic battle of the adventure. After that, you can fight like a white, but otherwise, then it's just to the throne room, and you finish it freeing Argenta, freeing Ellis the Strong and his dragon, getting the kudos and the thousands of gold pieces and the favor of Haven, the kingdom. So, it plays out very good at the end. And also, if you wanted to do it reverse of what I talked about in the beginning, where in part 1, where if you went in and you had to fight your way through orcs to get to the palace, if you wanted to do the opposite, you could have snuck into the palace. Now you're more capable of going out and helping Argenta and Haven clear the more difficult orcs, hobgoblins, and whatever else might have come into Haven, and you can use it as an extended campaign. Having Argenta be your benefactor, and also Ellis the Strong, maybe having one of your fighters join his order and get a white dragon. I mean, there's so many great things that you can do in this. So those are all the things that you have to take in note with this. But those are my DM's note for the second part of it. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you've enjoyed some of the art because, like I said, so many things about this adventure have inspired me over the years. And I'm glad I got to share those with you today. Otherwise, as always, from here at Art of the Genre, I like to say, great gaming.